Bitcoin in plain English.
Welcome back to Bitcoin in Plain English. I'm Jake.
And I'm Mia. It is so great to sit down with you today.
Yeah, we are really glad you are here with us. You know, whether you are just starting to learn about this technology or you have been following the space for a while, you always run into these confusing claims.
Oh, definitely. You hear them from friends or you see these scary headlines on social media.
Right. And today we have a very specific mission. We are going to sit down and look at 6 of the most common myths.
The ones that sound terrifying until you actually look at the facts. In the community, we actually call this FUD. That is spelled F-U-D, but we pronounce it FUD, rhyming with mud.
FUD, right.
Yeah, and it stands for fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It basically means negative claims that people just repeat to cause panic, without checking the facts first.
Exactly. So our goal today is to take a Mythbusters approach to this FUD. We are not here to argue. We are not here to get angry.
No, definitely not.
We just want to give you a mental cheat sheet. We will use clear facts and simple analogies so the next time someone brings up these myths at a cafe, you know exactly how to break them down.
I love that. So let's jump right into the first one. You hear this everywhere. Myth number 1. It is too slow.
Ah, the speed myth.
Yeah. People say the base network only does about 7 transactions per second, but then they look at Visa, and Visa does thousands of transactions every second. So the question is, how can this ever be global money if it is so slow?
I mean, on the surface, that sounds like a really strong argument.
Sure.
But the confusion comes from mixing up 2 completely different things. You have a settlement layer and you have a payment layer.
Right.
The base network confirms a new block every 10 minutes. That is a settlement layer. It is not trying to be Visa. It is moving final value that cannot be reversed without any middleman.
Okay, so think about the difference between a massive cargo ship and a motorcycle.
Oh, I like that.
A cargo ship is, incredibly slow, but it carries thousands of heavy shipping containers across the ocean. It moves billions of dollars with absolute certainty.
Yeah.
Visa is like the motorcycle. It zips around super fast, but it can only carry a tiny amount of weight. You would never hire a massive cargo ship just to deliver a single pizza, right?
Exactly. That distinction is so important. When you swipe your Visa card for a coffee, it feels instant. Bip, and you are done.
But it's not actually instant, is it?
No. That beep is just an authorization message. It's just the system saying, yes, he has the money. The actual settlement, when the money truly leaves your bank and goes to the coffee shop's bank, that takes 2 or 3 business days.
Wow.
But the base network settles globally in about 10 minutes.
Yes.
And once it is done, no bank on earth can reverse it.
Okay, but obviously we still need to buy coffee. We need that fast motorcycle for everyday payments. And that is where the Lightning Network comes in.
Right, the express lane.
Exactly. The Lightning Network is built on top of that slow, secure base layer. The easiest way to picture it is like opening a tab at your local cafe.
Okay, how does that work?
So you open a payment channel, which is like opening your bar tab. Throughout the month, you buy dozens of coffees. Those transactions take less than a second, and they cost a fraction of a cent.
Too fast and cheap.
Super fast. Then, at the end of the month, you close the tab. Only the opening and the closing of the tab get recorded on the main cargo ship blockchain. Everything in between happens instantly.
That is amazing.
And it is happening right now in early 2026. This is not just theory. In El Salvador, street vendors are selling pupusas and accepting Lightning payments on their smartphones. In Africa and Southeast Asia, workers use it to send money home to their families instantly.
And they skip those huge wire transfer fees entirely.
Exactly.
So the speed mix really just comes down to looking at the wrong layer.
Yeah.
But, once people realize it can handle global speed, they usually pivot to a different fear, right? Which leads us to myth number 2. Quantum computers will break it.
Oh, this one always sounds like a sci-fi movie to me. The fear is that some super powerful quantum computer is going to suddenly appear, crack all the encryption, and just drain everyone's wallets overnight.
Yeah, it sounds terrifying.
Yeah.
But to understand why you don't need to panic, we just have to look at where quantum computing actually is right now in March 2026.
Okay, where are we?
Well, current quantum computers operate with a few thousand qubits. Qubits are just the basic unit of quantum information. But to break the specific cryptography the network uses for digital signatures, which is called ECDSA, researchers estimate you would need millions of stable qubits.
Millions. So we are really far away.
Incredibly far.
Right.
It is like worrying about today's quantum computers breaking the network is like worrying about a toddler who just learned to crawl trying to break into a solid steel bank vault.
The toddler just doesn't have the power.
Exactly. The technology to breach that wall does not exist yet. And the mining process itself uses a different cryptographic hash called SHA-256. Quantum computers only cut the required work for that down to 2 to the power of 128.
Which is still a massive number, right?
It is larger than the total number of atoms in the observable universe.
Wow. Okay, so it is practically impossible right now. But what happens when the toddler grows up? What happens when the computers do get that strong?
That is the best part. People treat the network like it is a physical static vault. But it is not. It is software. It is living and adaptable. When better locks are invented, the network just upgrades its defenses.
Like how your phone software updates.
Exactly. And it has upgraded before. It upgraded with SegWit in 2017 and it with Taproot in 2021. Post-quantum cryptography already exists today in the computer science world. So long before quantum computers become a real threat, the community will just reach consensus and upgrade the code.
Okay, that makes sense. So the digital vault is secure and can upgrade. But running all those defenses takes power. And that leads right into our third major myth. It wastes energy.
Oh, yeah. You hear this one constantly.
People always say it uses as much electricity as a small country.
When you frame it like that, it sounds like an environmental disaster.
Yeah.
But the word waste is completely subjective. You have to ask a really basic question. Compared to what?
Compared to what? That is a great question.
Right. Think about the global banking system. It uses a staggering amount of energy. It powers massive skyscrapers, runs tens of thousands of ATMs, and drives heavy armored trucks around cities all day.
And gold mining physically tears up the earth with huge diesel machines.
Exactly. We even use incredible amounts of military energy to secure traditional money systems. But society doesn't call banking or the military a waste of energy because people believe those things provide value. This network provides a global money system that cannot be stopped or censored by anyone. Deciding if that is worth electricity is a subjective choice about human value. It is not just a math equation.
And what I find so fascinating is actually how the miners use energy. They are location agnostic.
What does that mean for our listeners?
It means they can pack up their computers into shipping containers and move directly to the energy source. Because of that, they can hunt for something called stranded energy.
Stranded energy.
Yeah, it is power that is generated but cannot be transported to a city, so it is totally wasted. A perfect example is flared natural gas.
Well, I have seen pictures of this.
Right. When oil companies drill in remote areas, they often hit pockets of natural gas. But because they are too far from a pipeline, they cannot sell it. So they just light it on fire. They vent those emissions directly into the sky.
They're burning it for nothing.
Exactly. But miners bring their machines directly to that remote oil well. They capture that wasted gas, use it to run a generator, and power their computers. They literally turn useless pollution into global digital value.
That is incredible. And they also act as a buyer of last resort for renewable energy, right?
Yes. Wind and solar farms often produce too much electricity at night, or when consumer demand is low. Batteries are super expensive, so that clean energy just goes to waste. Miners step in, buy that excess power, and that actually helps fund more green energy projects.
They even stabilize the power grid itself.
Yeah.
In Texas, there are massive mining facilities on the state grid. On the hottest summer afternoons, when everyone turns on their air conditioning, the grid gets pushed to its absolute limit.
And the miners just turn off, right?
Exactly. They have legal agreements to instantly power down. They give all that electricity back to the grid, which prevents neighborhood blackouts.
Wow. The statistics on energy use are actually really surprising when you compare them. Global data centers, so the servers running Netflix and social media, they use roughly 200 terawatt hours of energy every year.
Okay, 200.
The Bitcoin network uses about 150 terawatt hours, and gold mining uses around 130 terawatt hours.
And the stat that always makes me laugh is Christmas lights. In the United States alone, people use about 6 terawatt hours of electricity every year just to light up holiday decorations.
6 terawatt hours just for decorations.
Right. And nobody's trying to ban Christmas lights or calling them an environmental crisis. People only call energy a waste when they don't understand the value of the network using it.
That is such a good point. It is wild that miners are actually helping stabilize grids and capture wasted gas. But, looking at the massive size of those mining operations and the huge financial companies coming in, it brings up myth number 4.
Let me guess. It is becoming centralized.
You got it. People see Wall Street getting involved. They see ETFs. Those are exchange-traded funds that let regular stock market investors buy in. And they see companies like MicroStrategy holding hundreds of thousands of coins. BlackRock is involved now.
Yep.
People look at them, they ask, is the dream of decentralization dead?
To dismantle that myth, we really have to separate two different concepts: ownership and protocol.
Okay, break that down for us.
So yes, large corporations are binding up a significant portion of the supply. The ownership is absolutely shifting. But owning a lot of coins does not give you the power to change the protocol.
The protocol is the underlying code.
Exactly. The rules say there will never be more than 21 million coins.
Yeah.
The rules say blocks take 10 minutes. MicroStrategy might have billions of dollars in holdings, but they cannot force the network to print more supply. They cannot censor your transaction. The code simply does not care how rich you are.
So who actually enforces those rules? It is the node operators.
Right.
These are tens of thousands of everyday people. They run the open source software on cheap laptops or a $50 Raspberry Pi computer from your living rooms.
And if a Wall Street firm or a powerful government wanted to change the code, they would need overwhelming consensus from those everyday node operators.
Which is almost impossible. And we actually saw this tested, right? During the block size wars.
Yeah, from 2015 to 2017, massive corporations, major exchanges, and huge miners all colluded. They teamed up to try and change the underlying rules of the network.
And what happened?
The everyday node operators banded together and flatly rejected the change. The corporations failed completely. The rules stayed the exact same. It proved that the users hold the ultimate power, not the wealthy corporations.
It is kind of like the English language.
Right.
A huge corporation like Google uses English every single day to make billions of dollars. But Google does not own English.
Exactly.
They can't just change the rules of grammar for everyone else. The network operates the same way. Wall Street can use it, but they cannot control it.
That is a perfect analogy. But, if corporations can't change the rules from the outside, the natural next fear is an attack from the inside.
Myth number 5. A 51% attack will destroy the network.
Yes, the ultimate monster under the bed. The myth is that if one entity controls more than half of the global computing power, which is called the hash rate, they could manipulate the blockchain.
Because you might look at a chart and see a mining pool, like Foundry USA, controlling 30% of the network, and visually that looks terrifying.
It does. But a mining pool is not a single giant miner. It is just a coordination service. Thousands of individual independent miners point their computing power at that pool just to smooth out their income and share the rewards.
So what happens if the pool management tries to do something bad?
The individual miners would realize it immediately, and they would instantly redirect their machines to a different pool. This actually happened back in 2014. A pool called ghash.io got dangerously close to controlling 50% of the network.
Oh, wow. What did the community do?
They sounded the alarm, and individual miners voluntarily left the pool to protect the network's integrity. No central authority had to step in. The free market just fixed the problem on its own.
That is amazing. And even if we imagine a worst-case scenario, say a hostile government wanted to physically buy 51% of the network, it makes zero economic sense.
Why is that?
Because they would have to buy specialized computers called ASICs. They would have to spend tens of billions of dollars getting the hardware, building facilities, and paying for the energy.
It's just a massive amount of money.
Right. And what happens if they actually launch the attack? Trust in the network plummets and the price crashes. They would instantly destroy the value of their own multi-billion-dollar investment.
It is like buying a world-class, super expensive restaurant just so you can pour salt all over the food and ruin the business. Why would anyone do that?
Exactly. It is financial suicide. And even with 51% of the power, the attacker still cannot steal your coins from your wallet, and they cannot change the 21 million supply limit.
The game theory is just brilliant, and the proof is in the history. The network went live on January 3, 2009. That was over 17 years ago. And in those 17 years, the main network has run continuously with 100% uptime.
No central bank or government system on Earth has that kind of flawless track record.
Zero downtime. It's incredible. But that perfect engineering usually leads skeptics to their final argument, which is all about economics.
Myth number 6. Deflationary money cannot work.
Right. If you open a standard economics textbook, you will find the Keynesian view. Mainstream economists argue that an economy needs about 2% inflation every year.
So money losing its value.
Exactly. They claim that if your money is losing value, it motivates you to spend it quickly, and that keeps the economy moving. They argue that if money gains value over time, which is deflation, people will just hoard their money, nobody will buy anything, and the economy will freeze.
I have always found that idea bizarre. The idea that we need our wealth to slowly melt away just to motivate us to participate in society. It is like setting your living room couch on fire to motivate yourself to go outside and exercise.
That is a great way to put it.
I mean, yes, you will run out of the house, but destroying your furniture is a terribly destructive way to find motivation.
Right. And we already have undeniable proof that deflation does not freeze an economy. Just look at the technology sector.
Oh, that is so true. Technology is highly deflationary.
Exactly. A modern smartphone is infinitely more powerful and vastly cheaper to produce than a huge supercomputer from the 1990s. Flat-screen TVs get cheaper every year. DNA sequencing gets cheaper.
According to those textbook economists, people should stop buying smartphones because they know next year's model will be cheaper and better. But that obviously isn't true.
People still buy phones.
The tech sector is booming precisely because things get cheaper and more efficient.
And this brings in the perspective of Austrian economics, with thinkers like Mises and Hayek. They point out that human needs do not disappear just because money holds its value.
You still have to eat.
Exactly. If you have sound money, you still buy groceries, you still pay your rent, and you still buy things that bring you immediate joy. You don't stop spending entirely.
What changes is that you stop panic spending. When your money isn't melting away in a bank account, you don't feel forced to buy useless plastic junk just to get rid of your cash. You begin to save.
Yes. And those long-term savings transform into real capital. Deep pools of real capital fund meaningful long-term innovation in society instead of funding reckless speculation.
So deflationary money doesn't destroy the economy at all. It just shifts it from mindless consumerism to thoughtful, sustainable growth.
Exactly. And that actually covers all 6 of our major myths today. We have looked at speed, quantum threats, energy usage, centralization, attacks, and deflation.
We covered a lot of ground. Before we wrap up, we want to give you a quick, friendly vocabulary review. We use several specific terms today, and we want to make sure you have them clearly defined for your own conversations.
Let's do it. We will go through 7 key terms. Number 1 is FUD. That stands for fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It refers to negative claims spread to create panic without relying on facts. For example, every time the price drops, social media fills up with FUD.
Perfect. Number 2 is settlement layer. This is the base system designed for final, irreversible transactions. For example, the base blockchain is a settlement layer. Once confirmed, a transaction cannot be reversed by any bank.
Number 3 is the Lightning Network. This is the second layer built for fast, cheap, everyday payments. For example, she paid for her coffee using the Lightning Network, and the transaction took less than a second.
Number 4 is hash rate. This represents the total computing power that is securing the network globally. For example, the hash rate keeps hitting new records, making the network more secure against attacks than ever before.
Number 5 is consensus. This means the widespread agreement among all the network participants on the operating rules. For example, no one can change the 21 million supply limit without consensus from the network's node operators.
Number 6 is stranded energy. This refers to generated energy in remote locations that would otherwise be completely wasted. For example, miners use stranded energy from gas flares that would normally just be burned into the sky for nothing.
And finally, number 7 is deflation. This is an economic condition where prices decrease over time, meaning your money buys more goods. For example, technology has been deflationary for decades because your phone gets better and cheaper every year.
We really hope that quick recap helps lock those concepts in for you. To summarize everything we explored today, FUD sounds incredibly convincing until you simply stop and look at the facts.
Right. When you take the time to understand the underlying technology, the economic incentives, and the real-world data, you are perfectly equipped to see past all those scary headlines.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to Bitcoin in Plain English, give us a like, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one.
Thank you so much for spending your time with us today. Remember, understanding this entirely new financial system is a journey. It is not a race. You don't have to grasp every technical detail in a single afternoon.
Keep asking those good questions, stay curious, and always let the truth do the heavy lifting when you hear wild claims.
Think about how much money has evolved throughout human history. If the last 17 years brought us this far, imagine what the next 17 years of financial innovation will look like. See you next time.